It is clear, ladies and gentlemen, that Israel, which is ignoring the resolutions of the international legitimacy, has decided not to be our partner in the peace process. It has undermined the Oslo Accords, which it had signed with the PLO. It has and still is, through its current policies, which are premeditated and deliberate, destroying the two-state solution. This proves unequivocally that Israel does not believe in peace. It believes in imposing a status quo by force and by aggression. Therefore, we do not have an Israeli partner anymore to whom we can talk. Israel is thus ending its contractual relation with us. And it is making the relationship between the state of Palestine and Israel a relationship between an occupying state and an occupied people, nothing more. Therefore, we will only deal with Israel as such, and we call upon the international community to deal with it as such as well. Israel has chosen that itself. We did not make that choice. Israel made that choice. Israel is launching a frantic campaign to confiscate our lands, to build settlements, to loot our resources, as if this land is empty and has no owners, exactly as it did in 1948. Israel is giving total freedom to the army and to the terrorist settlers who are killing the Palestinian people in broad daylight, looting their land and their water, burning and demolishing their homes, compelling them to pay for the demolition, or forcing them to destroy their homes with their own hands and uproot their trees. All this with an official protection. Can you imagine what is happening? Israel is telling the Palestinian people, either you demolish your house or I will demolish it myself. But demolish it yourself with your own hands, it's better, because if I demolish it, you will have to pay the cost of the demolishing. Have you ever heard about this? Can you imagine what is happening? This is what is taking place. I have to demolish my house, or they demolish my house and they make me pay for it. Furthermore, the Israeli government has authorized the establishment of Jewish racist terrorist organizations exercising terrorism against our people. They have provided them with protection while they are aggressing the Palestinians and calling to expel them from their homes. On top of these terrorist organizations, I mention the Hilltop Youth, Price Tag, Lehava, the Temple Guardians, and many others. These terrorist organizations are being led by members of the Israeli Knesset, by members of the Israeli legitimacy. And in this context, we call upon the international community to list these terrorist organizations on the international terrorism lists. This is the only place they deserve. Israel did not leave us any land on which we can establish our independent state. in the frame of its frantic settlement expansion. Where will our people live in freedom and dignity? Where can we build our independent state that will live in peace with its neighbors? We want to live in peace with them, with Israel. Where will we establish our independent state to live in peace with them? The settlements, unfortunately, constitute 751,000, or 25% of the total population, 25% in the West Bank, the Palestinian land which remains for us. Israel is killing our people with impunity, as it did with the Palestinian journalist Shireen Abu Akleh. You have all heard of Shireen Abu Akleh. She was killed with the bullets of a sniper. It means that the sniper deliberately killed her, and Israel recognized that the sniper recognized that he did kill her. And besides her Palestinian nationality, she also has the American nationality. And I dare the United States to prosecute those who have killed this American national. Why? Because they are Israelis. Israel is also targeting our sacred holy sites, Christian and Islamic, especially in Jerusalem, our eternal capital and the crown jewel. And I would like to reiterate here our attachment to the Hashemite custodianship on these holy sites. Those are the Muslim and Christian holy sites that are being targeted on a daily basis by Israel, without any justification, every day. Here they are attacking the funerals of Shireen Abu Akleh inside the church, inside that holy place. They have attacked the procession, and this is what Israel is doing in the holy sites. Israel is also imposing falsified curricula in our schools in occupied Jerusalem. They are inventing curricula. With the same authors, they take the book and they change what is put in that book, and then they impose the curricula on our children to control what they are learning. This is a violation of international law. Israel is also disrupting the presidential and legislative Palestinian elections by forbidding the Palestinian citizens in Jerusalem to take part in these elections. And this has taken place in 1996, in 2005, and in 2006. So there are 3 precedents, 3 times where they did so. And they ask us, why don't you organize elections? We are ready. We have issued the decrees to organize these elections, and we have decided to organize the elections, but Israel did not allow us to do so. Therefore, we did not cancel the elections. We only postponed them. When Israel allows, or when some tell her that she can allow, or when some order Israel that they can allow for these elections to take place, then we will organize them. Israel is enacting racist laws, consecrating the apartheid regime. Yes, apartheid. And if they do not like the appellation, this is the truth. They are an apartheid regime. not only between Palestinians and Jews. They are doing so against our people before the eyes of the international community with total impunity. Why isn't Israel being held accountable for violating international law? Who is protecting Israel from being held accountable? I have no idea. Do you know? Do you know who is protecting Israel from being held accountable? The United Nations. And on top of the United Nations, the most powerful in the United Nations. Why these double standards? Why don't they treat us equally with the others? Why these double standards when it comes to Israel? Israel did not hesitate to repeatedly violate our land, and recently they have closed the headquarters of 6 Palestinian human rights organizations. They want the law. They try to implement the law, but if we make a mistake, they hold us accountable and they say you have made a mistake. Suddenly, Israel considers that these organizations are terrorist organizations, and they raid their headquarters and they loot their assets. They confiscate their documents and burn them. They do whatever they please. And the whole world is saying that this is wrong, except for Israel. It is saying that it is not wrong. This is what Israel has done in the offices of these human rights organizations. What would it have done if they weren't human rights organizations? Ladies and gentlemen, Israel, ever since it was created, has committed heinous crimes against our people when they destroyed 529 Palestinian villages, expelling their dwellers during and after the war of 1948. They have displaced a figure that some try to manipulate sometimes. They have displaced 950,000 Palestinian refugees, so half of the Palestinian people back then, 950,000, not as Israel says 250,000. No, 950,000. Those are the UNRWA statistics. So the UN statistics. And of course now they account for millions. Israel has committed ever since and until now more than 50 massacres. More than 50 massacres. Since 1948 and until today. And some of those massacres have been recently committed, and Israel recognized that it had deliberately committed these massacres and that they have targeted the farmers coming back from their agricultural land, and they killed them in cold blood. 50 or 51 massacres. The most recent of which was against Gaza, which was targeted with missiles. I will not tell you how many elderly it killed, but the New York Times, it's a US newspaper, so the New York Times said 67 children were killed in Gaza. of course, they were carrying missiles, and they were in tanks, and they were launching missiles. 67 children, those are their photos. They were killed by Israel. Who is going to assume this responsibility, and why did Israel kill them? And I would like to give you lists of these villages that were destroyed, of these massacres that were perpetrated, and I would like to ask Israel from this rostrum to recognize its responsibility for destroying these villages, committing these massacres, and displacing the Palestinian citizens, and to apologize to the Palestinian people. After all this killing, they have to apologize. We call them to bear the legal, political, moral, and material responsibility. They should be held accountable. And the international community should hold them accountable. We ask the international community right now to hold them accountable for what they have done, for the massacres they have committed. And we will go to the International Criminal Court, yes, and to all the courts of the world. But first and foremost to the International Criminal Court, to ask Israel to shoulder its legal, political, moral, and financial responsibilities. I ask here, does the Israeli people want to remain a colonizing people forever? They have been so for 75 years. Until when? I would like to ask you, should we wait for a century, or maybe for 2 centuries? We are the only people on this planet still living under occupation. Why? Why? You, as a General Assembly, you members of the Security Council, you advocates of human rights, why should we remain under occupation? What are we still waiting for? What are the Israelis going to teach us? Why should they be occupying us, or teach us, or kill us, or confiscate our land, loot our resources? Even the rain which falls on us is being taken by them, and then they sell it back to us. They take our rain, and then they sell it back to us.